Funnel optimization is one of the most effective ways for brands to increase ROAS on their paid ads. But a lot of the times it's an afterthought for companies. Instead, they focus on optimizing the creative itself only, and they see these marginal gains once they find a winning ad format. But in reality, if they sent them to a page that was more optimized, they're going to see better results at a larger scale than if they just make better creative. So today I get the pleasure to host my friend Sanjay. He's the head of growth at Replo. He's been in the Ecom game for years, and he's going to share with us the most optimized funnels that they're seeing work right now for the brands that are working with them. The first insight that we're going to uncover is that listicle-style articles that are basically a sales letter are some of the best ways to introduce somebody to a brand and build that interest and awareness. Then we talk about the mid-funnel optimizations that you can do that increase the average order value. Some of these tactics that they use see an average AOV lift of about 30%. It's crazy. And then another insight that I thought was fascinating is basically doing an upsell right before the order ships with an extremely steep discount. This creates an artificial time constraint and increases, again, that average basket value. And this episode is brought to you by LandingCat. LandingCat is an SEO and CRO platform for e-commerce brands. They help you turn SEO into a performance channel for your e-commerce company by building out thousands of long-tail pages that are related to your product catalog. This helps you get more revenue from organic without being on the paid ads treadmill. Go to landingcat.com to learn more or click the link in the description below. All right, let's get started with today's show. Sanjay, what's good, man?
What is going on? Dude, I'm fucking stoked to be here. Are we allowed to swear on this?
Dude, you're chilling. You're chilling.
Okay.
We're here for the content, so I just want all the insight that you have that's going on. So just for context of the audience, Sanjay works at this company called Replo. They're like a landing page builder for e-com brands. Basically can do, crazy amounts of A/B testing and all, and you can talk to that. Kind of the
home pages, landing pages, product pages, blog posts, whatever you want, like the whole thing. Don't need a designer or developer.
Totally. And so basically though, what I wanted to have him on today to talk about was like everything they're seeing from the front lines of like brands that are crushing it with doing like using these types of like landing pages to build these funnels out. So maybe we just dive into it. Like what are some of the things that are working right now for the companies that you guys have that you're working with?
Yeah. So the number one thing that I'll say that's like you can set this up inside of an hour is you got to set up a listicle to collection page funnel. So whether you have like I'd say if you have like 10 or more SKUs or 5 or more SKUs, the collection page really powerful. But especially if you have a larger catalog, this is makes the most sense. So it goes from ad unit to a listicle, 3 to 5 reasons why your product rocks, and then take them to a curated collection page. So it's not just like, dump them in the grid. One of the things that we're seeing is people are actually doing like UGC kind of baked into that collection page, which is something you kind of like pull off inside of Replo, but you can do independently as well. But that is the number one funnel. So we saw that we tracked $273 million through Black Friday, Cyber Monday. It was like 2.9 million orders. That was only and what's even crazier about that is like it's only 40% of our user base because we had just launched analytics and only 40% had turned on during that weekend. But with all of those, like that was the number one funnel and it's continuing to perform. It was performing well through last summer. So we're recording this beginning of 2024 summer, best funnel. And it's still cranking. So listicle, it's not hard for you to like yeet out that content. We actually have some like GPT stuff kind of inside of Replo as well. So you can like find a template, hit the little button, it writes based on your content specifically on your website. You got everything, do little tweaks, change the colors, cool, you got your listicle, and then that's the funnel. Just make sure it goes to a collection page. If you need to build one of those, we have templates for that as well. But that's like the number one thing that I see. And I think it's really cool because like I know you do a lot of stuff with the collection page stuff as well. And I think that's if I would say do one thing, any brand by the end of this week, it's Thursday, do it by Friday night, listicle to a collection page, that'll be most likely your best funnel.
Okay, cool. So I have questions about this. So breaking this down just to talk about kind of the psychology behind it. So you're basically doing an ad that's kind of, educational, almost like it builds intrigue. You get them to hit that landing page. That's the listicle format. That's like more high level. It feels like a sales letter, like a traditional sales letter is what you're talking about, where it's like, okay, long format sales letter. And then are you linking to the products or to a collection page within that listicle to get them to drive further down? So there's call to actions on that page. So so it sounds like really like a soft sell is what you're kind of positioning as being the most successful.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think of listicles as pre-sale pages. They educate, entertain, get people excited about your product, your offer, your brand. I think one of my favorite examples, so this is like the true classic funnel. And you see True Classic doing this. They have like really hilarious ads, goes to kind of a listicle style format, goes to their collection page, and their collection page is just curated with their top offers. So like their bundle kits, like they're just forcing people into that as well. But by that middle step, the listicle is like, why is True Classics, material better? Why is it better from a price perspective? Why should you get like, that's how it is. And then I was like just digging around, and then I don't know if you know Zach Stuck, who runs an agency. So Zach runs an agency called Homestead, and he has a portfolio of brands as well. And he has a company called Hollow Socks, it's like alpaca socks. And his kind of hero funnels all do the same thing: education, entertaining ads. Click into a listicle. It's like 3 reasons why you should have like alpaca socks. I think this is like their unique mechanism is that alpaca material. And then it goes to, just like True Classic does, their best offers. Buy a bundle that's like $120 AOV instead of like buying an individual pack for $20. And it's just, it gets people
so
like super energized for it.
It gets a higher AOV on these conversions, is what I'm hearing. So
yeah, because you have to curate that collection page. And I think that's like the extra 20% of optimization that you do. It's not just like dump them for all products, right? You actually dump them into like the biggest kits that you have that are the most value, and you kind of like build that value ladder, to use Russell Brunson language.
No, totally. So it's like scroll stopping ad that is entertainment. It's like build that intrigue to get the click to occur. Mm-hmm. All the selling is not even happening in the ad. It's happening on the landing, the educational page. That's kind of the speed bump until the actual purchase page. Yeah. And then, I mean, imagine you can build a crazy funnel with that too, because your CPC is going to be so low off of the ad. Mm-hmm. You just pixeling those individuals that hit that educational page, put them into like, a classic waterfall remarketing campaign. And then, that gets them further. So, any other kind of like tactical things on those pages that you're doing? Like, are you trying to drive like, email signups or SMS signups, like to build like Klaviyo pipeline, et cetera? Or is it trying to not distract them, just really focus on the educational piece? And then also like asset wise, what are you including there? Any videos? Is it more just like written? I imagine photos naturally just to like show the products, but I'm curious, like what are the specifics on the asset side?
Yeah. So as far as like the lead gen piece first that you mentioned, like I think a lot of these pages still have like your default like Klaviyo or Alia, Amped, whatever pop up that you're using. You can kind of keep that. I'm seeing less and less of people doing like direct lead gen on that like listicle page. Like they don't have like an embedded form. They still have just running the evergreen like pop up. So that'd still be like my main recommendation is like just if you have a pop up already, cool. And then test it too. You can kind of like that'd be a great first test. Like, make sure it doesn't run on that, just to see what the click-through performance is to the collection page. So that's part one, just as far as lead gen is concerned. The second piece, the optimization stuff, the content piece, the things that you would really want to keep in mind. Like, first of all, this is really, really small, but fucking make your headlines, your text larger. So especially on mobile, like if you can, like the pages that are outperforming just the average, their fonts are like 2x the size, which is really, really silly, but that's like actually, it works. So start there.
Like, and so then it's almost taking up the whole page is what you're saying. Like on mobile devices, it's like, half the screen is like H1. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like a third of the screen is H1. Yeah. And then instead of using a video, which is usually really fat, like file size, or just a static image, they're using GIFs. So actually like layering GIFs on each one of these things is actually much more like valuable.
Stays lightweight, still shows the value prop with the visual kind of, like motion.
And it's engaging, gets people like, moving. And if you don't do GIFs, if you don't have GIFs for whatever reason, or you just can't, don't want to like spend the technical time to do it, which is fine. The simplest thing you can do to your images, a lot of people just put like the image itself on there, or like product on white, which is the worst thing you can do. That image real estate is like perfect place for trust badges, 30-day money back guarantee, shipping within this period of time. If you have any sort of like other industry like value props, like, hey, like we're certified B Corp or whatever, like those sorts of things, slap that on the image, because that is still real estate. You don't have to put that icon somewhere else or like call it out anywhere else. Like you should make use of that if you're not doing the GIF thing. And when you're doing the GIF thing, like add those icons in there as well. It's like the easiest thing. And then the last thing too that I'll call out is like, and this goes back to linking to collection pages. If you have like a very specific offer, you're just trying to go after one product. I have seen people either link, the CTAs on the listicle page will link to like that, sales page, like the long form offer page, Or what they'll do is at the very bottom, all the CTAs like above, like the very last section, kind of scroll down, and on that bottom section is a buy box. You're actually able to buy directly from that listicle. So you're shortening that funnel size, and it just depends. There's this concept of like the micro yes. So whenever you're doing an email pop-up, one of the most valuable kind of optimizations you can do is instead of asking for that email immediately, you can say, hey, do you want a discount? It's like worked very well across like Ecom in general. I think Jacob Sappington at Homestead was the one who told me this too. So another Homestead plug, great guys out there, but the micro yes really works. And this is kind of the same thing with the listicle page. You get people to like consume that content, then that micro yes is like, cool, yeah, I do want to see this offer. Go to the collection page, go to the offer page. But sometimes you can still ask for that sale on that same listicle page as well.
Oh, it makes total sense, man. I love it. It's funny. I feel like, I started out in really degenerate SEO. That was like the origin of how I got into kind of like everything growth related, and then ended up in Ecom and then B2B SaaS. And now we're back in Ecom, which is hilarious. But the thing I'm finding, or like I'm reconnecting with, I feel like recently, is all of these like just classic sales funnels. Like we're using a VSL for like one of the companies that I own. And for them, it's like, it's incredible, right? Because it's just, and it's just very, I think the difference is like, instead of using like a ClickFunnels that's like disgusting, from a design standpoint, layering it on with these like beautiful aesthetics, you can kind of elevate it, but it's like at its core, it's still the same fundamental principles. It is like it's the same sales mechanism. You're just packaging it in a different way.
It's you're just putting a nicer like coat of paint on it. Really, it's the same thing. And that's the funny thing is like everything that I just described is like was true in 1999 or 2007 or 2013. Like Russell Brunson ClickFunnels, like probably his .com secrets has exactly what I just outlined in there. But you're just putting a nicer coat of paint on it. And it's just, these are just like principles that have worked for decades now, and they're still working. But the thing that I'll kind of like reiterate in general is that most people don't take the time to do this, but it doesn't take that long to do. So like, it's the lowest hanging fruit for most brands.
How long would you to set up like a whole funnel like that, like you're talking about? Would it take? Like, can they do it in like a couple of hours, or are we talking like a week-long sprint, or what does that look like?
No, not a week at all. No, if you have like no idea how to like use page builders at all, I would say you could probably do it like end to end in like 2 or 3 hours. If you use a tool like us, I actually have like an insane amount of like videos I've recorded in the past of which I can share. It's all free.
Yeah, we'll include it in the show notes. I think people will be just valuable to see kind of the frameworks that other people are using. So,
but I just dropped like this past week, I just dropped exactly like, hey, here's exactly how to build this. And if you followed everything I did step by step, you had a little bit more familiarity, use the templates, use our AI to write a lot of the copy, you have your images ready to go, like you can get the stuff up in like 30 minutes to an hour. I do it usually. It takes me like, I think the fastest I've ever done it for a brand that I just like totally took over is like 23 minutes end to end for a listicle page, an offer page, put it into like ads manager, and like made sure everything was branded, the fonts were correct, etc. So but I do this every day. So that's
of course. So a question for you on the products that you're seeing this work well with is like higher ticket, mid ticket, low ticket, like, more impulse purchases. Where does this fit? And is there other, strategies for each of those levels? Like we have a client where it's like, for example, they're selling a $15,000 item. I'm imagining, sales cycle for that is longer, traditionally from what they see. So I'm kind of curious to see the different, different ways you would structure this based off of the different price points.
Sure. This actually is one of the reasons why I love recommending this particular funnel is I've looked at it from anywhere from like a $20 or less item all the way to, a couple $1,000 like furniture. Like this works really well in furniture just as well as it does on a little knickknack that you put on your desk. So it's like, it is truly, I think, one of the most applicable funnels to the most number of businesses. So kind of great prescription there. The things that I would do differently if you have like higher ticket stuff is I would, like let's say you like over $1,000, if you think about your like buyer journey, right? If you have a $15,000 item, more often than not, it's not like an impulse buy. There are some people that can do that, but it's like, okay, I'm gonna have like some level of consideration. I'm gonna do a bit of cross shopping. Want to make sure that like have all the information. What I would do differently in those moments is essentially know that I just have like multiple of these listicles, or have like a slightly different format. So another version of a listicle is an advertorial. Looks like an editorial you'd see on Vogue magazine, but it's actually like a sales page. It's a long form sales page. It's just like the tried and true, like the native ads that you see under like a Fox News or CNN article, right? Like the Taboola Outbrain stuff. It looks like a newspaper thing, but it's
Taboola in so long. I worked with this bathtub manufacturer at one point, and we just absolutely printed off of Taboola in the past.
Yeah.
So it was so funny. Anyway,
it's funny because like most people in DT, like if you go to like direct to consumer Twitter, like you say Taboola, they're like, "What the hell is this?" All I know is Meta. But like you go like hang out in like some degen like dens with like affiliate guys, and they're like, "Yeah, I spent $1 million a day."
I've heard it absolutely rips for. I have a friend who she owns an Amazon Ecom brand. They're like a really niche. I think they do it. I would say that they probably fall into like the headache management category or something like that. If you get like migraines. And she's like, yeah, one of our best channels is advertorial style. Like we basically just run them through Taboola, drops them into like a funnel that drives them to the Amazon page. So
yeah. Are you a woman 65 and over in the villages in Florida and suffering from migraines? Yeah. No, dude. But those rip too. And they don't have to be like to your point about like the ClickFunnels branding looks really jank, but like if you can put some paint on it and make it look nice, and again, you're just feeding people all the information that they would need to make a business, like a purchase decision. So the listicle might be like, hey, here's why you should buy from our brand versus another. The advertorial might be the reason why this particular version of our product that is priced this way and all the benefits, like all the things that go into it that separate us, that actually like provide value. Then there might be on the long form sales page that it's essentially like a retargeting stack, right? So they get the listicle the first day, and then on day 2, they get the advertorial, and on day 3, they get the long form sales page. It's actually making them, get in there and like, purchase. And in there, you might talk about like the shipping times, the warranties, et cetera, that you may not have brought up on some of the previous page styles. But it's like, it's basic consumer psychology. It's the same thing. Like think about if you have a $15,000 product, if you had a physical store and someone walked into your store, you would grab them by the hand and like gently walk them through and ask them, why are you here? What do you need? And you kind of like, and you would just recreate that experience online through videos, GIFs, images, and really compelling copy.
No, it's amazing, man. I love this. So to take, go look at a higher, or the highest level of this funnel, ad creative wise. I mean, I'm seeing the craziest stuff just in the world that I'm living in, specifically with like a lot of shock value, because they're just like, yo, I'm just trying to get at least like a moment of someone's attention, and then suck them in with some type of storytelling that drops them into the. So I'm curious about ad formats that you're seeing be effective. Some that we're seeing is like you make it look like a podcast where it's like somebody talking off to the left. There's a mic that's in it, basically. Another one that I find fascinating is it just like naturally comes up in conversation between two people, or like skits where it's like an individual doing like a skit with themselves. I'm curious if there's any type of ad units that you're seeing be really effective for these funnels that you guys build with these lead pages.
Yeah, there's a guy in our community that his whole thing is like make ugly ads. And so one of the most common ones is like you'll have a picture, it's a static image of your product, and there's like a post-it of like the 3 like the bullets why, and it's like the post-it that fucking slaps for some reason. Not entirely sure why, but it goes. My favorite one that I've seen recently is someone like recorded a fake news broadcast and then played it on their TV and then recorded the TV playing that fake news broadcast, and that was the hook for their ad, which was so awesome.
That's brilliant, man. I love that.
Yeah, those are like the 2 big ones that I see. But like I think like if you are a student of short form in any way, shape, or form, like there's always going to be like the viral hook of the week or of the day or like of the hour, like the way that the algorithms move this fast. Like there's always something new. So I would say probably like every day or every week, like go find like 5 that are kind of interesting. One of my favorite ones is like, I'm sure you've seen the one where there's a video of someone like being carried on a stretcher and then they just roll down the hill, or like they get thrown off and then people like roll, like it cuts to the ad creative and they roll in, they say their offer or whatever. Like that works as well. I've seen that on B2B SaaS. I've seen that on like hydration supplements. I've seen
totally.
Noise, so
Yeah, somebody
Find
called it
those.
the other day to me. He said it was hook jacking, and I thought that was really
Yep.
interesting. Like there was this one that went viral, and it was like a girl, like she like brings a gun up,
Yeah.
and then it
Oh, yeah.
drops into like some. I mean, it was selling an e-commerce product, right?
Oh,
But
yeah.
a D2C product, but just like that very I don't know, abrasive kind of hook, and then combining that feel, building that bridge. So I'm curious if we're starting to see this again, just with the people that we're talking to. They're all very curious about like AI avatar UGC ads.
Yeah.
Specifically, the reason for it is because you can build variations of these creatives. The initial MVP, like the first versions of these creatives, it scales that you couldn't previously. So, for example, I can be like, cool, here's 10, or 100 different script variations. I'm going to have an AI avatar speak that. We're going to chop up all these different versions. So maybe we have 300 pieces of unique creative that we end up actually launching with. But then once I identify a winning like format, then I take that and I go to a UGC creator. And if we break that down, like, if we did that previously, if you're working with one of these creators, like say you're paying, we'll say like $80 per video for them to do, that's like a minute long. If I do 100 variations, like that's $8K that I just spent to do this, like that whole process. That now costs, an $89 subscription on HeyGen and, whatever, a $29 subscription on 11 Labs to do those initial tests. But I'm curious if you're seeing any other companies that are using this or starting to experiment with this, or is it just super early in that whole world?
It is early, but it is being talked about, and it's actually being talked about almost to like at that like super ultra premium like extreme. So there's a guy named Kenan who his like first company was Skio, which is a subscription app. It's like a recharge state.ai competitor, basically doing subscriptions on Shopify. So he got that to like 10 million ARR, and he's like, I'm going to go do this other thing. And it's just AI UGC, but he's partnered up with like celebrity level people. So like he's got like the Botez sisters on there, like the chess ladies, which is amazing. But like you can like go in and type in your script and have like the Botez sisters like say stuff about your weight loss supplement or whatever, and I think it's like $1,000 a month, or like it starts when he first launches $1,000
for that
so
premium,
it's like super
likeness
premium for that.
access that he's providing.
Right.
Yeah,
so
a lot of the stuff I'm seeing
that.
is like it's like some person in their living room filming it. Right. I was just telling you about this off screen, but like one we're seeing work right now is like she literally has like cystic acne like on her cheek.
Yes.
So it looks you see that and you're like, oh, like you're not being thrown off by like the lighting being perfect, all this. It looks like somebody filming in their living room, but like we do 100 variations with her, and we're going to find something that gets a 15 cents or a 10 cent CPC.
And I think that's what more brands should do. Like, I think everyone sees like oh man, it'd be cool if the Botez sisters or insert like The Rock did this, but like what you actually need, I have a really fun celebrity story after this, but like what you actually need is to find like 100 variations of something that's like, okay, the acne thing is going to like, that's going to be a hook stopper. And then, scale that out, because it's like it's the same like macro micro like influencer thing. My really quick anecdote, which I think you'll appreciate. I launched a hair care product a couple years ago called The Best Paste, and the lady that created The Best Paste, she is the personal stylist, the hair stylist to Ryan Reynolds. And on our launch day, he actually posted an Instagram story with a link to the website and said, this is the exact product that I use. And so, that goes up. We get the notification. It's on launch day. I'm like, holy cow, we're about to make so much money. We got 4 visits to the site from Ryan Reynolds, exactly 4. From his Instagram story. He's got like 40 million people. So again, sometimes it's actually much better to have the micro influencers and then even the AI, like the lower end, just like regular looking people to really scale that stuff.
100%. I think that like we're seeing this more and more too, especially with For You page, like taking over all organic social, like the content that's in the script that they're talking about, like that is way more important than the product. Like I guess what I'm trying to say is like you have to find, and this is something I think everybody's trying to figure out and have to do at scale, but like find that cross section between like education and entertainment that naturally brings up the product as like the hero within the story that's being told. But I feel like your story of like the Ryan Reynolds story is a prime example of this, like where it's like, this is a really competitive space. It doesn't even matter if he's saying this is what I use, because it's like it's not talking through the value prop of like why this is differentiated, why it's better, like that piece. And like you're gonna see, somebody that is again just like a nobody but they do a better job at telling, basically talking through that value prop that's there, perform better. So anyway, that's fascinating.
I was the nobody. I have no clout in the hair care space or just celebrity status by any means. But my creative of me saying, "Hey, I started using this and like I got a girlfriend from it," that way outperformed more than 4 visits. Actually, we made real purchases from that creative.
Can we dissect that real quick? Just because I think that's such an interesting way to think about this, of like a future self that they can attain, and then like this product is the bridge to that, and like that is I think some of the best performing content, especially on the UGC side. Like we're doing this is outside of the ecom world, but with a company, they're like a AI audio journaling app, right? And, but for them, what we're finding work is like, I have a New Year's resolution to journal more because I want to become a better version of myself. It's hard to sit down and actually journal, but I found this app and it helps me like do that process, that journaling process. And you should go do it too if you want to do this, right? So you're like casting aspirational vision. Here's the pain points of getting there. Here's how to make it easier. And I feel like that format, that content format, is like such an easy, repeatable playbook. But anyway, I'm curious if there's any other of those like kind of styles that you're seeing like from a format standpoint work right now.
I mean, I think every ad in some way, shape, or form should do that. Like you should figure out how. I know like the direct response guys call it future pacing. Essentially, like, okay, here's what it looks like in the future. My favorite kind of like explanation or like analogy or whatever for this is, I think Alex Hormozi says, don't sell the plane ride, sell the vacation, sell you sitting on the beach in Hawaii sipping a drink. Don't sell like going through the security and all these sorts of things. And I think it's like, every purchase decision, whether it's for something that's like relatively impulse all the way to a brand new car, right? Like there's always some level of transformation that you're going to have internally as a human and like externally as well. And you have to like figure out kind of like what those elements are. And if you can kind of layer more and more of those pieces, even in subtle ways, you're going to have a better ad hook. You're going to have a better ad overall. You're going to have a better landing page. You're going to have a better, post-purchase email that upsells them into XYZ. Like, but I think if you like spent the hour or 2 hours to like go through your entire funnel and say, where could I make this a little bit nicer? Like you do that like once a week, you're going to have, over 52 weeks, you're going to have a much different business. And it just requires you to like practically think and like systematically think through how to do that. So I'm fully with you, man.
No, I think that's great, man. It's great insight. To take this a step further, so we've talked about kind of the top of funnel, like first touch of this. I'd love to talk mid funnel and then talk like later funnel. So like you just brought this up of like, okay, like maybe they got to, they got to cart, but they didn't complete. You got an email. How are you seeing people use these landing pages? And then the next after that is like, cool, they made the purchase. How are they using these landing pages as an upsell, or like what where does it fit within those other parts of the customer journey?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so the mid funnel stuff, I think it goes back to like, okay, if they're already in your funnel, what are the common objections? And if you don't know the common objections to why someone doesn't want to buy your product, like go survey them, go email all your current customers, go ask around, go just talk to people, think about it for like 10 seconds. You should be able to figure out why someone might not want to buy, and the content that you feed them. So when they're in your retargeting stack and in your emails, in your SMS, like that's what you should be dripping them. Again, you want to answer questions before they've been asked. It's kind of like getting on a sales call in a way. Like if you can get someone on a sales call and you've already answered all the common objections, they're just there to like basically give you a credit card. Like that's the idea.
This podcast exists. It's like literally like you're pre-selling them, right? And like building that trust at scale before the conversation even happens. So not to cut you off, but just it's so obvious. So
but like that's the thing is like, so in the ads, like what are the in the mid funnel ads, in the mid funnel like landing pages, that's the kind of content you want to put in. And then also like you can start to like get that sale. You can layer that content in your sales pages and your product pages as well, and you should be doing that. The bottom of funnel. So this is where things get really, really fun. I think so. The before you even get to like your true post purchase, like after call it 30 minutes after the purchase, like in that post purchase experience, they put their credit card information in, they hit checkout. If you have something like a supplement, or even like a lot of apparel can do this too. I used to do this funnel for, I used to sell like bras for women, which, very qualified to do that, but it was an incredible funnel. But basically, if as soon as they finished the purchase, I would say, hey, do you want to buy one more unit for like 20% off? Or if it's supplements, it's even easier, right? And this is the like perennial supplement funnel. You can do one of two things on the supplement side. You can go, hey, do you want to buy more? Like, do you want to like upgrade your order and get like a 3-month subscription, or not a subscription, but a 3-month value, or a 6-month for like these like stacked discounts? And then if they say no, then you can say, hey, actually, you can upgrade your order, and then it's kind of a downsell in a way, but we'll put you on a subscription. So you're going to get this every 30 days or every 45 days or every whatever the interval is for your business. That's a lot of businesses can just make a little bit more money, like 20-30% more money, just doing that in their post-purchase. The landing page element that you would want to layer in here is HexCloud does a really great job of this. So they know they have their entire set is like $1,200 for all of the pots and pans and all the little kind of gadgets that they have there. So they know that most people are going to buy between 1 and 3 products on their first kind of like experience. So what they do is, they buy it, they deliver that one pan that they got, probably a great deal there. And then within 30 days, usually within 30 days of that order being delivered, they'll send them to a landing page via email and SMS that says, hey, complete your set, and we'll give you like a 60% discount to do so. Which is just absolutely game. And so again, like it's a couple $100 of AOV that they're able to get within a 30 to 45 day period of that initial purchase. But that's like the
also
first
creates
cool
like
thing.
a time sensitivity, not to cut you off, but like because again, if you're up to that shipping, like that moment before, it's like last minute, right? Like you have to make this decision now. So it puts that pressure point of, oh, we need you to make this purchasing decision rather than, after it's delivered, like trying to upsell. It creates like a sense of urgency faster. So interesting.
So you can do before, you can do after, and then like really long term, right? Like if you have a consumable of any kind, upsell them into a subscription, like get them into a subscription and list out the reasons why. Like it's like listicle of like 3 reasons why, and at the bottom of the listicle, don't even go to a different page. Just say, cool, I want to sign up for this. There's also like some businesses should try, and this is really crazy. Like if you go to Jot Coffee, it's jot.co. They switched their entire funnel to be subscription first. Atlas Coffee Club is another great coffee example that does the same thing. There, you can only buy, or you can buy one time, but like all of their ads, all their advertising just go into subscription. But those are like the other things you should be thinking about, just like, mid-funnel, post-purchase kind of thing.
Is that a larger trend that you're seeing happen? But I'm imagining just in the consumable space, like anything that's like, health gummies or whatever, that type of deal. They're just like pushing into that. Are consumers open to that buying decision? Like, I guess
surprisingly.
Like, really, that's fascinating. Because I don't know, you hear everybody like complain about subscription fatigue and like how that's like ruining their personal finance. But I am curious to learn from you guys again, just based off the data that you guys are seeing. Like, are you seeing people actually the opposite, where this is working for these companies? These
it's
brands?
crazy. I mean, I've seen a couple of companies that are in the supplement space. Create Gummies is probably a great example. Groons, they do like kind of an AG1 but in a gummy format as well. Both of those companies happen to be gummies, but like they have kind of like turbo scaled to 8 figures in like 12-16 months. And they are subscription first. Like they're kind of, the default option is subscription first. And I'm always like, oh wow. And then I also ended up with like 3 months worth of creatine gummies and little AG1 gummy bear type things. AG1 is a great example too. They were affiliates. They were, before AG1 of today, they were 10 years of being like the number 1 affiliate offer in the world. And they have always kind of been subscription first as well. And people have been kind of generally okay with it. I think if you convince people that your product is that silver bullet, or it's like the thing that they're missing in their wellness stack or whatever, well enough, you add up the right marketing, then you do make people, I think it's a lot easier for people to do it. Now, the big thing there is like, how do you manage churn? How do you manage, like people getting too much? There's a whole, cottage industry of, making sure people pause correctly and reactivating them and all these sorts of things. But as far as like just the general willingness, I am genuinely surprised to say that or to see that people are, out of the gate still subscribing to stuff. It's not like 2013, 2014, where it's like everyone had a subscription box, and it was cool. Like people are still doing it, which is pretty wild.
No, I feel like, if you go through any of these funnels now too that incorporate like Apple Pay or any of these mobile like it's so much easier to just be like, oh yeah, this is $29. I'll just throw it on the card, takes 3 clicks, and suddenly I get coffee showing up to me every week or every month or whatever that looks like, right? So what haven't I asked you that I should be? Like that's like, from the front lines.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I think one of the reasons why I love watching your content. So my buddy and I, we basically like we get shit faced, and then like when we get really drunk, we just start talking about like interesting ideas, and then like we listen to your podcast. And we're like, oh, like that's the thing that we talked about the other night. Here's a fun little hack that I think more people should do. You had an episode with Nick Abraham, who lives like 15 minutes away from me, by the way, just kind of random aside, about cold emailing. And on that podcast, he talked about like cold emailing for e-commerce brands. And I think one of the coolest things you can do as an e-commerce brand, especially for really brand new, is start doing wholesale, but not worrying about like the big brand stuff, but actually going after like the small mom and pop retailers, boutiques, et cetera. So if you do jewelry, you do apparel of any sort of thing, like there is probably some sort of like mini shop in like all of the little towns in America that you can go and do this. So cold email those people, and I think you do one of two, or you do two things. So you cold email and say, hey, I've got this like really cool thing, would you check it out? And this is where kind of like your stuff with like landing cat kind of can come in too. So you send them 2 pages. You send them a listicle, like 3 reasons why, and you put like their name, the boutique's name in the title, and say like you should become like a wholesale partner. And you basically say, here's like our average sell through. Here's all the like investments that we're making in your area for like marketing and stuff, and like here's like how much we've made thus far. Those sorts of things, like the momentum for this category, and like that's how you get the wholesale orders, which is pretty awesome. The second thing you do is you make them a custom collection page. So like you curate collection page, you can kind of do this at scale. And so you can just like, especially like with the landing cat stuff, I think you would probably figure out a way to do, all these collection pages. So you're cold emailing 1,000 boutiques across the country. You can do that in a week. And you have, a listicle page that tells them why they should be a wholesale partner, and a collection page. It's like, here's exactly what you should be buying and stocking for your boutique. So that is like the one kind of like crazy
this because I think it's so brilliant. So I know this brand, they're custom wedding goods space. Classic like purchases is through all these small boutiques. Literally did this exact thing. Here's the hack though. They went to Fair, which is that
yes. Oh yeah.
Basically scraped all of the brands from Fair, because then they know that these are like people take themselves serious, right? Like they're looking for the best selling products.
They've self-selected into buying.
Exactly. And then they go and they find all the email addresses that are associated with that. They also would do like cold calling. It's crazy. She's based out of Houston, and just would like hired an army of people that would just go cold call these boutiques and like try, drum up demand. An angle that you could do this if you don't have the ability to do cold calls, there's these new tools. One's called voicedrop.ai, and it'll ringless voicemail drop them, like whatever it is that you're trying to do. So again, another angle that you could go at this from. I feel like for brands, this is such a powerful vehicle to get kind of that initial sales momentum, especially if you're like, cash strapped in those beginning stages to try to scale up, but also for these more established brands that are looking for, to open up kind of these more traditional retail channels. Like this is super easy way. And to talk about the stack to actually do this, I could see this working with like the technical pieces of this. Use you could scrape Google Maps like for these people, like literally find somebody on Fiverr that will scrape all of the data for you. For
probably has a list. You can probably just buy the list on
you
Fiverr.
Probably just buy the list 100%. So that's one piece. They'll give you the URL, then you'd use a software like Hunter.io or Phantom Buster to scrape that boutique's emails. The Hunter's going to find any public emails that they've kind of have been placed around the web, and the Phantom Buster will find any of the emails that are specifically on their website. It will page by page scrape the entire site, take those, and then use something like MailReef to do the actual cold email sending. It's just a server. It costs like $400 a month. You can send about 50,000 cold emails from that $400 server, and then use something like Instantly AI. You sequence those people in, and then to your point from the structure of the email, I think it's brilliant, right? It's like, products for X boutique, and then like here's our best sellers, like list the 3, this is the average sell through, do you want to get do an order, etc. And then mean, I feel like also that's probably a business in itself, like going and approaching these e-com brands and be like, hey, we open up these channels for you. This is our process to do that. We run this whole playbook. Is that interesting to you? Also, as you get that company or that agency to scale, you'll have relationships with all these boutiques and be like, yo, I onboarded this new brand. They're absolutely crushing it for our other, our other places or other locations that we're working with. Do you want to work with them too? And you already have like a foot in the door with them to do that selling, and
you're like building like two-way distribution, doing like one type of outreach. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Totally. Well, awesome, man. This has been amazing. Talk to me. Where if people want to reach out to you or want to find you, what is the best place to connect if they have follow-up questions?
Twitter or x.com as it were, Sanjay at play. That's me. You can hit me up at any point in time. You can find our company Replo. It's replo.app, replo.app. And you can find me on LinkedIn too. But just shoot me a Twitter DM or something, or just tweet at me and I'll get back to you.
Amazing. I love it, man. We'll include that all in the show notes. And thanks again, brother. I learned a ton today, so I appreciate you.
Hell yeah. I'm glad. Thanks for having me on, man. This is so much fun. I love talking to you, dude.
Amazing, man. Amazing. We'll have you back soon. Cheers.